Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. That is Jack. I am Conrad, and this is the Footy 5 Match Week 33 look back at what happened on the pitch. We're going to separately talk about all the nonsense off the pitch. Jose Mourinho got fired. There was a league that was stupid and formed and disbanded, and maybe it still exists because you can't actually leave. Topic for another show. On the pitch, we've got 5 matches to look back at. Arsenal, Everton. Everton have not won at Arsenal since 1996. That's 25 years by my math. They get the win courtesy of an own goal from Bernd Leno that I still don't understand what he did. But Richarlison with the low cross somehow makes its way past him and into the back of the net. It looks like it went through his legs. No idea what really happened. But 1-0 to the Toffees.
Yeah, I mean, this was just, lapse in concentration, a stunning lapse in concentration. I mean, very rarely do you see a professional goalkeeper just kind of forget where he's at. Like, he just kind of left his body for a brief moment, and then just the ball was just, like, next thing you know, it's in his legs. I have no idea how to explain it. It's inexplicable, and I mean, it cost him the match, and I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans, a lot of non-Arsenal fans talk about should there be more pressure on Arteta. They're in 10th place right now after Leeds had the draw. Yeah. They're 10th, and they're Arsenal. They're not even close to getting even in that 7th spot. 7 behind Spurs for that space. So why isn't there more pressure on Arteta? And I say, look at what his starting goalkeeper is doing. There's just idiots all over the field. I think this Arsenal team needs a serious overhaul, a lot of investment. And if that investment has to come in trickles, you can only get Partey in one window, maybe Aouar in the next, maybe address some other concerns in the next one. Because of their limited finances, then you can't expect too much from a manager. He's done a great job in getting a lot out of Odegaard, getting a lot out of Saka. Aubameyang and Lacazette, I think, have been a bit underwhelming, but fundamentally this team lacks a lot of talent. So that's not a negative for Arsenal. Positive for Everton is you got some points and you're still in the hunt. I mean, you win your match in hand and you go level with 5th. That's crazy, honestly. I mean, they have a really, really good chance to qualify for Europe, as good as they have had in many recent years. It was a squeaky result. I don't know, deserved maybe the wrong word to use, but they stuck around. They got 3 points away from home. And I mean, 25 years. It's a huge, huge result for Everton.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I mean, just the fact that they can get to 5th with the season that they've had, up and down, like so inconsistent. But they are 8th on 52. They host Villa next. Gunners are 10th, as you mentioned, on 46. 1 point behind Leeds, 1 point ahead of Aston Villa. They face Newcastle United at St. James's Park next. And Newcastle have suddenly become this resurgent team. They're saving themselves from the drop. But she'll see what happens in that match with Arsenal. Liverpool, Newcastle. In their title-winning season last year, Liverpool had scored 72 goals and had 89 points and had already clinched the trophy in the 33rd week, right? This year, they got 55 goals and 54 points. And that sums up this match yesterday against Newcastle. They were incredibly, incredibly wasteful. They had so many chances. 22 shots, 9 of them on target. Insane number. But Mane, Firmino, Jota, the lone scorer, Salah, they had a very attacking formation and created opportunity after opportunity, could not convert. Newcastle actually probably should have won this game because the goal that wasn't on the terrible handball for Callum Wilson on the first stoppage time goal that they scored should have counted, and then they ended up getting the equalizer, which should have been good enough for them to take full 3 points in this one.
There's a lot of different takes you can make from this match. I'll start with Liverpool and their wastefulness. XG does tell a lot of the story in this one. 2.89 to 1.07 in favor of Liverpool. They had so many opportunities. They just didn't pull the trigger.
That's an enormous number.
Mane is woefully out of form. Firmino can't hit a barn door if he was standing next to it. Jota is having a bit of a dip in form, and he seemed infallible from that when he first started for Liverpool. And Salah, I mean, he scores goals, but he misses 2 out of 3. And I mean, you're not
so many breakaways.
You can't. I don't think you can really criticize Salah because he's been carrying this team. He's 20 goals.
20 goals.
So I'm not gonna sit here and say that Salah's he gets, I think, escapes a bit of fault from that incredible goal he did score. But Liverpool, I go back and forth on if it's a mentality issue or if it's an issue of forwards putting too much pressure on the defense by just not scoring, because this match should have been dead and buried by stoppage time. But once it hit stoppage time, you just had this feeling that this is not the same Liverpool team of old. They don't have Van Dijk, they don't have Gomez, they don't have Matip, and they're not going to kill off this game. You knew the players were thinking about, well, against Leeds last week we threw away 2 points.
They
threw it away again. And they can have no complaints. They got bailed out once with the handball. I don't know what he's supposed to do with his arm, honestly. I mean, I disagree with people who don't like the law, but fundamentally, it's the most clear law that exists, and I enjoy that. Hits the hand, and it results in a goal. It's disallowed. It sucks in that instance, but it's one of the rare instances where the rule, I think, is actually very well executed. In that very, very small
It's
instance.
a stupid rule. It's not the referee. It's just whether the rule is any good or not. I don't know.
It was a very interesting switch, but usually it's the referee having to use these crap rules. Versus I think in this case it was I don't want to say good rule, but I think it's a very clear rule that kind of was a bit too strict. Anyways.
But his arm is right down the side of him, and it hits him this direction. If his arm's not there, it hits his ribs.
The issue is, though, I think if you're a referee, you can't be saying, oh, if X, Y, or Z happens, then this would happen. So I understand the frustration.
It was dumb.
But I think
I feel bad for Newcastle, but they got the point. And
the thing I'll say, though,
they're in good shape.
I don't feel bad for Newcastle, honestly. They were lucky to be in that match. They were not in it out of their own. Well, I saw people congratulating Newcastle saying, oh, they fought till the end. They were outplayed. They were torn apart by Liverpool, who just couldn't put the ball in the back of the net. And that's Dubravka, who was, I think, bailing them out time and time again. And
he was pretty good.
If you don't have a borderline world-class Dubravka on the day, you don't have any chance. So I think to credit this as anything other than Liverpool being wasteful and throwing away the win, and then having a good mentality to recover from the disallowed goal and score another one, any other conclusion besides that is just not. It's just not watching the match, in my opinion. Fundamentally, though, Liverpool are not the same side that won the title last year. They need more fighters in the team. They need Henderson back. They need Van Dijk back. And I think they need to. You think about when Sir Alex Ferguson had his dynasties at Man United. How many stars came and went? He was not afraid to get you out of there if he needed fresh blood.
Weren't producing.
I think Klopp needs to be ruthless. Mane's been great, and he will be great, I think, next year. I think he needs to go. You need to get him out, bring in fresh blood, because you just need to shake things up. Having the same squad, I think they're just worn out. And I think this match showed that in clear detail.
So the draw leaves Liverpool 6th. They are 4 points off the top 4. They face Man United at Old Trafford next. Newcastle now unbeaten through 4. They look pretty safe as they are now 9 points clear of the relegation spots. 16th place on 36 points. They host Arsenal, as we discussed earlier. Next up, West Ham and Chelsea. West Ham, since Declan Rice got injured, have won 6 of the 12 points on offer. Their top 4 chances, I think, right now are over, unless the teams around them lose points because of the European Stupid League fiasco. There's talk of those 6 clubs losing 6 points. That changes the top 4 dynamic dramatically, and it would put West Ham clearly in that top 4. Too early to tell what that's going to mean, but Chelsea get an important goal from Werner 2 minutes before the interval. Off the assist from Chilwell, his first league goal since February. It's over 2 months. West Ham hopes for an equalizer evaporated once Balbuena got that red. Chelsea were able to tighten their hold on the top 4 Champions League spot for now.
Yeah, that would be a stunning point deduction in my opinion. I understand that
you got to do something, and it's got to be nasty.
But I don't know. What was it a case of? I mean, yeah, it's much more.
I think you got to penalize ownership, not the players. And
here's the thing, though: is when Wigan went into administration, that was ownership ineptitude that resulted in a 12-point deduction, and it ensured that they were relegated. Why don't we have the same energy here? I understand that logic, but I don't know. I may be just being incredibly naive, but. What did they do? What did they actually do? They said, we're going to form this league. They listened to criticism, and they backed down. What did they actually do? But it's
directly against the English Premier League bylaws. It says you cannot enter any competition that is not on this list without express written permission from FA and Premier League.
And now they're not trying to do that anymore. So what if you're saying a 6-point punishment is is making a decision and then realizing, okay, we don't want to do this anymore, and then not actually executing that decision. Now, if they're still in the Super League, as we'll talk in a later video, that's a different debate altogether. It's just a very interesting one. I think it's getting away from the match here, which was
West Ham 0, Chelsea 1.
Exactly, and Chelsea outplayed them significantly. Chelsea don't have beautiful matches. I read an article in The Athletic from Simon Johnson about it, and it was they're not fun to watch, and I don't think they care about that.
No,
they don't.
Look at their fourth.
Yeah, Tuchel doesn't have his players in, but he's brought them into an FA Cup final, a Champions League semifinal, and he's getting them in a really good position to qualify in the Champions League. I mean, no disrespect to Frank Lampard, but he gave him a pile of crap to work with, honestly. Where they were in terms of their league position wasn't great. Just they weren't in a great headspace as a squad. He's turned everything around, and massive credit to Tuchel. Moyes, I think, it's just these were terribly timed injuries. The red is going to hurt them as well. I don't think that was even a red card. It's like that one was he kicked the ball, right? And then he caught him on the follow-through. Yeah, it was an ugly challenge on the follow-through, but what is he supposed to do? He's supposed to kick it less hard? Like, he kicked the ball, and then it wasn't even a follow-through. It was just physics. Like, he can't. It's a contact sport. Give him a yellow if you think it was that bad. But a red card to change the match like that, it was disgraceful to me. And, I mean, would West Ham have gotten the equalizer? I have no idea. And it sucks to try and...
Lingard had some good chances, but...
I mean, fundamentally, they were opened up. And I think losing Rice has been a serious loss for them. And it's going to be really tough, I think. Even Burnley next. I mean, we're not talking about them today, but the 4 goals they put past Wolves, that's going to be a tough match. And
when was the last time a Sean Dyche side ever scored 4 goals? Burnley. I haven't looked it up. I'm assuming it's never happened.
Yeah, I mean, they showed some serious Barcelona 2011, 2012 vibes. But anyways, that's a must-win for West Ham because I think Liverpool, Spurs, Everton are all within a match of you. And in the case of Everton, they have a match in hand as well. So if you really want to keep your top 4 hopes alive, which I think they could, just get a win. But it's going to be tough. I see them as effectively done. So I would be surprised if they maintain much higher in the league than 5th.
They sit 5th on 55. To your point, traveled to Turf Moor, face a Burnley team coming off a 4-goal shocker against Wolves at the Molineux. Chelsea 4th on 58. They host Fulham in a West London derby at the Bridge. Next up, Leeds and Man United. Lively match, one of those 0-0s, 0-0 draws that's actually an interesting one. This did probably put the final dent in any prayer that Man United had in a title this season. City will win the title with a win over Palace, and United lost to their rival, Liverpool. Man United had the lion's share of the possession, a rarity for a Leeds match. Leeds were more efficient on target with fewer shots, but 0-0 at Ellen Road.
What? I tuned into a Leeds match to see goals. What happened? I didn't see goals. I feel robbed.
They didn't get out. They get out possessed.
Look, I mean, if you're Man United, I don't think you really care if you're Man United. Honestly, I mean, you got a 0-0 draw away from home. You kept a clean sheet. You keep yourselves almost firmly in the race for top 4. Oh, you don't guarantee it. You would have probably guaranteed it if you. Not mathematically guaranteed it, but done a really good job of making sure that was secured if you had won. But they weren't opened up too much. Weren't too clinical. But you rested a few players for the Roma match and the Liverpool match, which are probably your 2 biggest of the season. Maybe not the Liverpool match because that one's just a case of pride. You want to punch down further on your rivals. So I go back and forth on where I stand on Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. 10 draws is a lot, and it definitely has cost him in this title race, draws like this. But, I mean, we're saying the word title race for Man United in the end of April. So that's progress. I don't care what you say about how poor his tactics are, how poor his man management is. He's done a good job with this club. And if he's a case of like Frank Lampard where he can't take them too far, he can only do a certain percentage of the job and someone else has to take it further, I don't know. But the work he's done has been nothing short of incredible. And if he's able to get them their first trophy in the Europa League, get a win against Liverpool next weekend, I mean, we're talking about second best team in England comfortably going into next season.
Leeds 9th on 47, 6 points behind Spurs. It's been a great season for Leeds, no doubt. Bielsa wants more. He's going to want to get to that 8, 67 spot if he can. They travel to the Amex next to face Brighton. United second on 67, 10 points off of City. They travel to Liverpool. Actually, is that at Liverpool or is that? I thought it was at Old Trafford. I've got that wrong, I think.
You know it's at Old Trafford. It's at Old Trafford.
Oh, that's what I thought. Either way, big barreling match for them next week. Last up for us, Villa and West Brom. This is a 1-1 draw at halftime after 2 penalty dispatches from El Ghazi and Pereira in the first half. Tyrone Mings then gave the Baggies the lead shortly after the break with a crafty own goal. Villa stole the point with Keenan Davis getting his first Premier League goal late in stoppage time. Probably means no great escape for Big Sam and West Brom. Feels like a matter of time before they go down. Villa remain without Jack Grealish, who's a mysterious injury that nobody seems to really understand or talk about. Simply not the same side. Just one of their last 5 matches with a win. 3 losses in that stretch. They're well positioned in 11th, but with Grealish, just think how they're above Villa. I think, or excuse me, they're above Leeds with Grealish in that.
I think that's a comfortable statement to make. I think the positive for them though is that they're guaranteed survival at this point in the season. I think it's the first time in I forgot what the stat was. I'm blanking now. Several years.
Well, last year they stayed up on the last day.
It's for the first time in several years that their status is not determined on the last day in terms of promotion or relegation. So great for them that they're able to kind of relax. You don't want to just take the foot off the gas for their last 6 matches, but they're allowed room to slip up a little bit towards the end, and getting Grealish healthy, not rushing him back is now acceptable versus if you were 10 points worse off, which is a lot of points obviously, but then you'd be in 16th place, you'd be in this relegation scrap, but you've avoided that this year. That deserves a lot of credit. West Brom, I mean, that was just a terrible error in stoppage time. I forget who it was. Just kind of chests the ball down as a center back in your own 6-yard box.
Well, it was,
and then Davis
just
taps it home. Yeah, it was awkward, I agree, but not assured defending at all.
So either you get your head down there and try to clear it with your head, or you jump up and try to get it with the knee and hope you get it clean.
Or just
it was right in the mid.
Thrust at it and just like try and clear it out with like your chest, just like rah. Just like I don't know. I'm not a professional defender for a very good reason. It was awkward, but it wasn't well dealt with. I think could have communicated with his goalie a bit better, and that one's gonna hurt. I mean, because you look at that, if you're 7 behind Brighton, that's not out of the realm of possibility, but 9 feels like a chasm almost, because even a point for Brighton, like, say they get a draw, it makes the intervals that much harder to catch up on, versus if it was 7, they draw once or twice, you're still only 3 wins away from kind of catching ground on them if they drop matches. This changes it a lot. I imagine they're likely to get relegated, and I believe that would mean that if the bottom 3 holds, if it's Fulham, West Brom, and Sheffield United, then I think I'd be 2 out of 3 on my picks. I believe the other one was...
Same here, I think.
Issue is the other one was West Ham.
West Ham, yeah. They're not going to lose enough to get relegated between now and then.
Sheffield United, I think, is... we didn't talk about them, but unfortunately, they got their 1-0 win when it's already confirmed that they're relegated.
Too late.
Too late.
Too late.
Honestly, it's just a case of improving your stock for next season. Try and get a quick bounce back. I mean, we saw Watford, they bounced back immediately after finishing 18th last year. Who was 20th last year? Was it Norwich last year?
They were bottom of the table.
Yeah, I mean, at Norwich, our first team back qualifying, so there's no question that a bad year this year, but, I mean, you start with 0 points and the chance for qualification again next year, so some optimism
Question
there.
whether Sam Allardyce stays or whether they get somebody in younger to kind of reshape that club a little bit. Villa are 11th on 45, travel to Goodison Park for a date with Everton next. West Brom 19th on 25, 9 points behind Brighton in 17th. They have Wolves at home, who are shipping goals for fun, it looks like, with the 4 they conceded to Sean Dyche's Burnley side, as we mentioned. Jack, Conrad, this has been the 45. Please like, subscribe. It's free. It's pretty good. Comment, let us know what you think. Look for us on the Twitter at the 45. Take care now.